morning, good morning and welcome to Women Warriors Network event, Global Female Investors, an event to inspire more women to understand their finances. It's so important for women to become financially educated because it is empowering. Today, we will learn from 3 inspirational global female investors, Rhea Wright, so I'm adding it in, Nina Raybaudo Guy, and Gina Alkuino. Thank you to everyone who support Women Warriors, who have contributed to the many events over the past few years globally as speakers and attendees. As we continue to grow, I'm delighted to lead this event once again. Thank you also to Quilter Cheviot, experts in wealth management and official Women Warriors sponsor. Thank you. I am Sandy Donnelly, founder of Women Warriors Network and DBC Health Retreats, passionate about well-being and female empowerment. So what is it all about? Women Warriors Network was created in the midst of the pandemic when all of my health retreats were put on hold. I realized there were so many women out there who are incredible women warriors and wanted to share their knowledge, wisdom, connect, contribute, and collaborate with like-minded women. Sorry, I keep adding in here. Men, yes, men, we also love men and we need and want them to join and support these incredible women, which certainly does make them supermen. Women Warriors Network is a platform to allow women to shine. Ordinary yet extraordinary women have spoke at the numerous events. When it all began a few years ago, I expected 30 to 40 people, and the numbers just grew and grew very rapidly. So I thank you all so much for the continuous support. We launched in Dubai in April with an in-person event, Women of Sustainability, which was a huge success. And again, thank you to everybody who participated. So, global female investors. Female investors are role models. Figures suggest women may be great at saving, but can be hesitant to invest. So we will learn from our speakers some useful tips and advice. And please feel free to connect with them after. All of their contact details will be available. So on that note, I would like to introduce Rhea Wright, investment manager for Quilter Cheviot, also sponsor for Women Warriors Network, president of the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments. So hello and welcome, Rhea. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sandy.
It's wonderful to have you here. So Rhea is based in Jersey and has an incredible portfolio. So I'm looking forward to hearing from her, and I hope you will learn a lot from her today. So I'll start with Rhea. Your main role is to manage investment portfolios for private clients, trusts, and institutions. So what are the benefits of having a financial manager?
Sure. So, you mentioned, thank you for the kind introduction, Sandy, and hello to everyone today. Firstly, I suppose I'll kind of give you a bit of background, I suppose, what, an investment manager really does, because that's something, finance is a big word, but there's so many different roles in it. So it's really good to really explain what I do day to day. So I suppose you could say my role is split in half. So half of my job means that I will be talking to clients, talking to individuals, talking to companies. It's a real range of both international and local Jersey clients I deal with. Dubai, we have an office in Dubai at Quilter Cheviot, and our investment managers go out there regularly, and it's a big base for us. Talking to clients and building that relationship is really, really important. Having an investment manager means that you need to be quite open and honest with them. So you need to make sure that they're a good match for you. So that's, I suppose, half the side of my work. And then the other half, I'll be, watching the markets, building a portfolio for my clients, doing the trading on it, switching things in out when the market is moving. So it's a bit of both worlds, which is really good, because a lot of the time in the industry you can find that these roles can be split out. So it means at least I'm having that conversation with the client, and then working on that actual portfolio as well. So that's what I do. And you asked me, Sandy, on what the benefits are. So from my perspective, what I would say is, first benefit in having an investment manager is really you begin to realize that you're not in the minority. I think a lot of women think that they should know about investments, but you shouldn't. And a lot of men might say that they know, but it's not always the case. It's a lot of chat, I do find, from my experience. So you don't need to worry about that. And you've got to remember that people like me who are in my role, we have spent a lot of years studying. We have to do a lot of exams in order to do what we do. And we need to spend a lot of years training in order to become an investment manager. You go to a lawyer to get a will, you go to the doctor if you're not well. You shouldn't feel like you should know about investments. And it's, this is my full-time job, continuously watching the markets. Even when you go on holiday, it's quite difficult to switch off because you need to always know really what's happening in the economy and what's happening in around the world globally and how it could be affecting your portfolios. It's it's a lot to do. So don't ever think that you should know more than what you might think other people do know. Like I said at the beginning, having that open relationship with somebody who you trust is really important, because when you're building a portfolio for a client, you need to know everything about them, because you need to be assessing their risk and you need to be assessing their ability to bear loss and really what their goals are. So if you can't tell them the whole information, it'll be really difficult to make sure that that is perfectly right for you. Secondly, it is about that plan. It's getting a plan in place. It's important for everyone, but for women, it's extra important. Always seems to be that way with women. We're always a bit on the back foot when it comes to a lot of things, and unfortunately, when it comes to wealth, that is the case. We all know about the gender pay gap. It's slowly getting there, but there's still a large gap there. So women, on the whole, tend to be paid less. That they don't get those higher jobs than most men statistically. That's the fact globally. So with that, women are paid less, and that means that your savings, your pensions, your investments are going to be less than your male counterparts. With that, women have a tendency to more likely take time out of the workplace. So that could be for caregiving, if you're looking after family members, be that parents, be it because you're going on maternity leave. You may also find that maybe later on in life you might need to take a step back because you might have menopause, and find that is affecting your work balance. With that, you're being paid less, you might be taking time at the workplace. You're going to have that smaller pot when it comes to your retirement, or if you're wanting to stop work. Now, with that small pot, women have a tendency to not really invest their money as risky assets as men. Could be a lot of reasons for this. It could be because you've got that smaller pot, so you feel it's a lot more precious to you. It also could be because you don't have all the information, and women tend to like all the information before they go into risky things, and investment haven't always been traditionally aimed at women. Now, if you're investing in less risky assets, that means that your returns are going to be less as well. So with that smaller pot, you're going to have a smaller pot of assets at the end of it, which isn't a great thing. Now, to top that all off, women statistically are actually going to live a lot longer than men. That is the case now, and it's the case going forward. I know, I was just looking at stats. So you're 3 times more likely as a woman to reach 100 than a man, which I thought was actually really quite high. And this is a stat for the UK specifically. So it's the UK, but it's quite hard to get a lot of information. But women at 55 years old now, 1 in 5 of them are actually going to reach 100. So you really, if you're retiring, you need that pot to last you a really long time. So it's really important that you get that planning in place. And, not just people in their, 40s and 50s. I'm talking like getting your children, if they're in their 20s, they really need to start thinking about it now. We have an aging population. A lot of governments aren't really putting things in place for pensions anymore. A lot of years ago there was, you would have known about the defined benefit schemes. They didn't exist. So it's really about you trying to make sure that you've got a plan so you can keep that lifestyle that you want. And that could be at any sort of range of wealth that you have. You really need to be considering what you want for your future. And lastly, I would say that by having an investment manager, I do believe that it does build your financial confidence. Like I mentioned, the industry really has been male dominated, but that's not it's not surprising. Like, take, for example, my company. We've been around for 250 years, but women in the UK and US couldn't open a bank account until the mid-70s. So, you know, if you think about it, for hundreds of years, they couldn't even, you know, play a part. So it isn't a surprise, really, that it was more catered for men. But all across the industry, they realize that this has changed. Not just that there's more women who have got wealth, but it's also the fact that how people are getting wealth. It's not from owning a business for a long time. It's not necessarily due to inheritance. It could be because, you know, you've done something online overnight. You know, you have these YouTube stars who actually make money very quickly. And it's about making sure that people are, you know, looking after that money, not spending it quickly. And it's a very different industry than it was many years ago. And, you know, it's about, you know, the industry changing, you realizing that there is a place for you. You know, there are investment managers who are going to suit your needs, and you know, it's your right. Like, you know, you should come in, and you know, you can be there to ask for what you want. You know, women are the most educated that they've ever been. You know, statistically, women going into you know, with university degrees is a lot higher than men. So there is no reason for why you shouldn't feel financially confident. It's just because it hasn't always been catered for you, and women like to know all the information, and it hasn't always been designed with women in mind, but that is changing now.
Amazing. Two points there, Rhea. I think you're so right. It needs to be somebody who suits your needs, somebody you can, financial manager who you know you can have a little chat with and say, is this okay? You know, and not feel intimidated, because I think the whole financial world, to many women, not all women, of course, can be quite intimidating, and you might feel, because I know I'm probably one of them, feel a bit embarrassed saying, well, I have this, or I can do this, what can I do with it? And embarrassed to, why don't I know what I'm doing with it?
Yeah, but it's not something to be embarrassed. Like, when you think of, if you were to buy a property to go to a lawyer, you wouldn't feel that same embarrassment. And it's really strange that it seems to be with, you know, finance and with when it comes to stocks and shares and bonds, people think that they should know, and it's not always the case.
Yes. And the second point, I'm 54, so I'm 55 this year. So does this mean I'm living to 100?
You could be, yeah. Why don't you got 20% chance there? So I think from all the you know, a lot of the well-being that you're doing, you're on a good way there, yeah.
Hopefully. Again, people are living a lot longer. You know, we were just sailing. There was one of the ladies on board. She was 75. She was paddle boarding. She, you know, doing as much as everybody else sailing. So you can just see through society now, you know, the generations, how they've changed. We just need that gender gap to also change as rapidly as people living longer and having better, healthier lives. So I think that's all the positive. But the other thing we have to look at, as you mentioned, is it means we need money to last longer then, if we want to have this quality of life also.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So the second thing is, can you just share some simplified steps? So I think I'm speaking even from my point of view to financial well-being, and perhaps suggest like a plan, which then, if it's okay with you, we can then share with everybody after also, so they can see it on paper.
Ha is also H, yeah? Ha for horse, ha for happy.
Guys, can you make sure you're muted, please? People are muted. Sorry.
Sure. No. So yeah, sort of financial plan. So one thing with it is that it's, you know, it's very difficult to build a financial plan. You know, that's going to be one size fits all. So I'll just say that first. And obviously, giving financial advice, this is just all very high level, so don't take all this as financial advice. But I say, so that's why I am keeping it quite high level. But then obviously, if you want to come ask questions to me, you know, Sandy's got my details. But well, first of all, the one thing that you probably come across, and you do find when it comes to women and investing and their finances generally, is that women tend to always be told you've got to save money, you splurge too much, you love spending. You would have seen, back 10-15 years ago when we used to buy magazines, always used to be, what sort of spender are you, how to save a bit more money.
Yeah.
And then now you're seeing it online, it's the same sort of thing. And actually statistically 65% of finance articles on women and wealth is actually to do with these little things about saving. You need to stop splurging, women are terrible at this. Whereas any article for a man is really about how they should be investing, how it's powerful to spend money, how it kind of increases their power and their masculinity if they're spending money. And so one thing I will say is that kind of start thinking of it another way. It's not always about saving, not going, there was the old thing of, avocado toast people spoke about on coffees and trying to save a bit here and don't buy that handbag. But that's not what I want you to be thinking about. I really want to be thinking about you educating yourself so you know what options you have available to you. Women on the whole tend to invest in things they know. So when I say invest, it is women tend to save and then they keep that money in cash, or they buy property. That's statistically a lot higher than their male counterparts. They don't tend to invest because they like to be involved with things that they know about. So cash and property seems like quite safe for them. But there's a lot of wider picture when it comes to that, because you've got other factors which I don't have time to go into today, but things like inflation, things like could be tax implications, the interest rates you're paying, for debt. All of this needs to be taken into account if you're buying, when you're looking at something. And it's the same when it comes to investments. So there's a lot of things to consider when you're thinking about your money. So that's the first thing I would say. Think about that, and also start planning now. Sandy, you're mentioning your age there, and I said about 20-year-olds, and it is about doing things as soon as possible, because the sooner you start investing, this, you might have heard of, like compounding. If you've got the investments there, it's continuously going up. You might be getting dividends that can be reinvested. One thing we say as an industry, we always use the phrase time in the market as opposed to timing the market. It's not about, like you might see in films when it comes to, the stock market, like trying to buy low and it going up and selling high and things. It's, that's not a good play. It is about investing and then slowly, getting a strategy that allows it to go, up slowly, as trying to reduce that risk, not trying to be risky, and letting that portfolio grow over a period. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, like, know your assets. So I imagine a lot of you don't know what interest rate your bank might be paying right now, what your interest rate might be on your properties, what strategy you might be in for maybe your investments, if you happen to have pensions, if you've worked in different areas. All of this kind of thing, we always put on the back burner. Even I find some people have, if they got married or divorced, you might have changed your name. So it's to really get your affairs in order. Get it on an Excel spreadsheet if you're into that. If you like a piece of paper and pen, well, a lot of people, I'm quite a paper and pen person myself, get it written down. And it can seem really scary, like you might not want to think about what you're paying on maybe a credit card or for a loan, but get it all written down, and then you can really start seeing what your situation is and where you might need help with that, and kind of change your mindset. Instead of thinking, oh, should I be investing, because that seems quite scary, to really thinking about, can I maintain my quality of life like now, and can I maintain it in the future? And it's those sorts of questions that you should be asking yourself. I'd also say a big thing is talking, and I've been talking a lot about educating yourself, but it is about talking. Money it's always been a taboo subject. I'm not talking about telling your friends at brunch what you're earning at the moment. It's about if one of you, if you find a good financial advisor or an investment manager, discuss it. Say, oh, I was actually looking at my pensions, I was in the total wrong strategy here, I made a change, or I'm not getting interest, I've got this good interest rate here. You know, start talking about money, make it a normal thing. And if people see articles, send it on to your friends. You know, if you you know, webinars like this, if you see a good webinar, you know, talk to people about it. At the same time, when I'm saying that, is also be conscious of who you're listening to. Traditionally, I've known a lot of people who, you know, over the years, that people get advice. We always used to say, like, the man down the pub. You know, people would get advice that way, but it's now people getting advice from those that they trust, who they think might be, you know, good with their finances, but they're not. You know, they haven't got any qualifications there. Like, a perfect example, I was thinking of this morning, is one of my best friends. She was talking to me about finance when I last saw her, and she was getting some advice from her father-in-law, who's you know, is very successful, but he's in the pharmaceutical industry. He doesn't know anything about investments or finance. But because he's an older male who seems quite important and is being quite successful, she's listening to him, and I'm going, no, that's not what you should be doing. And it's just being conscious of who you are listening to when you are getting that advice. And also, in the same sort of vein, we're finding a lot of people now getting advice from social media, so TikTok, Instagram, and they're following individuals. But, you know, as a financial professional like myself, I can't go online and post a video on that, because, you know, there's certain restrictions and regulations that you have. So if you're posting online, you're not really going to have those credentials that you should be having. So it's to be really conscious of that, because a lot of the time, these people who are online, it's all to do with trends and hearing things, and to not believe everything, you know, that you see from there. There's a lot of good things out there. So I'm just going to plug Quilter Cheviot, but, you know, you've got Quilter Cheviot. We've got a really great podcast that we've got, and we've got like monthly comments that you can sign up to, so you can really start to build the foundations of you know, what different asset classes are, what the market's doing at the moment, just to slowly you know, build your confidence in that sort of area. So yeah, I say those are the kind of the main things you should start doing now, and then build on that.
Very good. I think one of the things you hit on there was the having a look again at your outgoings. What are you paying interest wise, or whatever the rates may be?
Yeah.
Because I know for me myself, I overlook so many even direct debits coming out, which I'm like, oh, am I still paying this and that? And that's definitely a point I'm going to take on board, because I know I pay a lot of things unnecessarily, and they're overlooked so often. And it's until somebody says, have you looked recently at this, you know, just to get a check on it. Really good points there, Rhea. Thank you so much, because it is about now. It's not about, it's something we put off very easily. Oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it next week. Oh, next month. It's then a year or so along the lines, and you've paid so much unnecessary interest without shifting a few things.
Yeah, it's that. And also, you know, when it comes to investments specifically itself, a lot of people keep a lot of their money in cash, and, you know, you're not going to be building your wealth that way. And I think that's the important thing. It can seem quite scary, and a lot of people like to have that egg. And you know, don't get me wrong, we always say that it's important that you should keep that you know, certain amount of money for if something goes wrong, if you're needing, you know, a large expense coming out, if you decide that you want to you know, move roles or change your job, relocate, you want to have what we would call, you know, liquid. So that means that is money that's readily available for you. And then it's the money that you invest is, you know, that on top, and to then really work out a plan of what your goal is with that pot of money, how much risk you're willing to take with it, and, you know, how much you could lose, because, you know, those market turns. We've heard of you know, the 2008 financial crisis, and making sure that over the long period that you know, you're able to withstand that, and then you know, markets do correct themselves, and just making sure that over the long term you feel confident in a strategy is really important, and just understanding the options available to you. I think a lot of time women don't always feel that investments are available to them, but it's to really look at it seriously, as opposed to just thinking, I keep my money in cash, or maybe a fixed sum deposit. Again, it's very popular among women. Just understanding what's available now.
I think it's having a bit of confidence, because we are thinking it's risky. Oh, should we do that? Should we not? But being advised by a professional like yourself then should put people at ease. And, obviously we know in the world things can always change, but having that advice, that guidance, that education for sure should surely give us that confidence.
Yeah. And there's risk in anything. So if you're to buy a second property, there's risk with things like that. If you're not able to get people to, be residing in the property, or the tax side of things, or, changes in government could mean that, having that second property, there can be changes to that as well. So with everything, there's a much bigger picture to anything that you're putting your money into. It's just making sure that you're always aware of it.
I love hearing, just me personally, with when I found Women Wise Network, I've just been so fortunate to meet women like you and the other ladies speaking today over the last few years, and it excites me so much to hear the knowledge and experience you have from a woman, because as you said earlier, your friend went to a guy who's successful, but he's not necessarily in this industry. But we've always, he's a successful businessman, maybe he can tell us. It's like, well, actually, you can tell us. Advise us better. Anyway, brilliant. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you, Rhea. Excellent advice and a good plan. I think we all need to put into motion. Thank you, Rhea. So moving on, I'm just conscious of time, guys, is Nina Raybaudo Guy. She's an investment professional based in Dubai. Hello, Nina. Thank you for joining us again, because I was so pleased to meet you in Dubai back in April. Welcome.
Hi, Sandy. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for the
and I know Nina's she's feeling a little under the weather, but a true warrior. She is here, smiling and shining on screen here. So it will be lovely to hear from you, Nina. So you specialize in sustainable and shariah compliant investments, which I have no idea what that entails. So can you explain what sustainable investments does mean, please?
Absolutely. So if I want to put it in more simple terms, I would say that, sustainable investing or socially responsible investing is taking into consideration something other than returns. So when you're focusing on investing, you're primarily focusing on the return of that investment. When you're thinking about sustainable investing, you're taking in different parameters. So that could be an environmental factor, that could be a social factor, that could be a governance factor, so in terms of the company you're investing in. But more in what I specialize in, it could be whether an investment is Sharia compliant, or whether it has any political risk. So that's what I do for my company that I founded just last November, which is called Ethical, and we do consultancy based portfolio analysis so that we can help professional investors, or not personal investors, to better align to their values. So I mostly work with institutions rather than people like you and I. But the idea of sustainable investing is not very different than how you would go about investing. So when you're investing, the way Rhea would invest for her clients, she would try to mitigate risk against their risk profile, but also against the risk of a company going bust. The way I would go about it is mitigate. So, this is what we principally call a shareholder. So you would become shareholder of a company and you would mitigate risk for the shareholder. What I try and do is mitigate risk for stakeholders. So when you think stakeholders, it could be anyone throughout society that could be impacted by the actions of a company. So that could be anyone in the environment, but it could be also the employees, and it could be also have social impacts. So, some people are very interested in seeing whether a company has good governance when it comes to having women in their boards or having women in executive positions. Other people are more interested in seeing, whether a company is funding a conflict. So, that's my day-to-day job, to find out, using all the public information available out there, whether a company could qualify as a sustainable company. I think sustainable finance in itself, and I don't know if Rhea will agree with me or Gina will agree with me, became very much a buzzword over the past 10 years. And if I think about the state of affairs in our industry today, it really makes me think of like the diet food industry. So to put it in like very simple terms, we've kind of figured out some evils. So a lot of what the asset management industry is focused on now is carbon emission reduction. And what they will do is just, pick out those bad ingredients from the funds, repackage it, and sell it as a solution. And I just think that there's so much more to be done, because I think that a lot of what we're not telling investors, and I don't know, maybe Rhea, you will agree because you do this on a day-to-day basis, is that when you're just, removing certain ingredients and repackaging a product and selling it as a solution, well, there are other risks that present themselves for investors. And I think that if you're thinking yourself as an individual investor to invest in sustainable products, sustainable funds that are available for you to invest in, there are certain risks when it comes to just, reducing the pool of companies that you're investing from. Because what happens is when you sacrifice what we call diversification, you tend to sacrifice your returns.
That is so very interesting, Nina, but also it sounds like it's so necessary. And as you said, it's probably new over the past, I don't know, you said the buzzword, over the past 10 years or so. But, for like in environmental funds for renewable resources, obviously this is something we should all be taking interest in and having more of an understanding about. So even the event we held in Dubai, it was Women of Sustainability. So it was interesting. We heard about sustainability in different forms, but not in this way, which you've kind of blown me away with what you're saying, because you obviously have a very important role to play. And may I ask, actually, I'm assuming, I should never make assumptions, but I can't see many other females doing your role. Are you a minority?
I mean, I think my business model is still pretty unique, and I think there will be a lot more that will come into the picture later. I think there are tons of, ESG consultants out there, and it's whether, what it is really that they're trying to achieve. I think, again, one of the big sales of the industry is like, oh, we will clean up your portfolio and we will also help you make more money. And one thing that I was really adamant about is, when I was building my marketing, and I said, I cannot have the word return anywhere on there, because I'm not going to go out and, first of all, because I don't have a crystal ball, so I have no idea where the market is going to go. There was a period in time, and I'm sure I remember this, right after the pandemic, where sustainable investments did amazing, and now it's no longer the case. So if you go up to people and you tell them, oh, we're also going to help you make better returns, then it's a better selling point. But what I'm really advocating for is more transparency. And I'm hoping that in the future, even individual investors will have more transparency when it comes to their investments, on the impact of the investments.
I think you're right, Nina. It's really, I was going to say, it's really a scale when it comes to, I think people like to think of, like you're saying, ESG or responsible investing, and think, oh, I've got a responsible investing portfolio or a fund, but it's kind of impossible. It's more of a scale of the sort of investments that you have. So, you've got, like, from one side is, investments that are purely about, making those returns, and that could cause harm. Whereas you've got on the other side, which is more, I suppose, the impact of even going as far as philanthropy, which would be the opposite side of the scale, where with philanthropy, you are going to lose money because you are giving your money away. And it's the whole scale of how that portfolio could be, depending on if you're deciding to divest. That means that you're deciding, for example, you might not want to invest within your portfolio in tobacco stocks or oil stocks. Although those people who like to still invest, for example, in these sorts of companies, but they're doing it so that they have a seat in the table, so they can decide to vote on maybe green strategies or executive pay, or how many the diversity of the board and things like that. So it is such a large topic and so complex. So I think you're right, Nina. It's really, if people are trying to sell ESG portfolios with these returns, it's something that we should be calling out.
Yeah, I think also legislation slowly is moving that way. And I think with anything in finance, first comes the industry, then comes legislation, and then comes progress.
I think with your transparency, with all of you ladies speaking, actually, it's just such a positive impact, and I think inspirational for others, not just women, of us tuning in, listening to you speaking on such important topics, but men, women, everybody. So this is why I think these webinars are really important, just to get these issues across, which obviously this will be recorded and sent out also, because I know I'll forget bits we've discussed, so I want to look over it. But yeah, no, amazing. Thanks, Nina. So just a second question, Nina. So how can we empower women, more women in business, especially industries like you ladies are in?
Oh, so first of all, I think it's great that we now live in a society where men and women are legally entitled to do the same things. I think Rhea, it wasn't so long ago that women were allowed to open a bank account in the UK. So it makes sense that, we haven't really taken our space there in finance. I do think, though, that we still, suffer from systemic differences in healthcare, in the workplace, and also in education. And I think in the UK, if you look at the statistics, girls that go to only girls' schools are 6 times more likely to pick math or science as their university degree. So it's really about empowering women with confidence that they can do things that, that haven't been limited by this belief system that, oh, maybe women can't do that, or they can't work in finance. Some of us will be so lucky that we'll join the workforce and we will have great mentors. And I think if you can be a great mentor, then by all means be one. When I had my first boss, he told me, don't bother with the investment piece. All your skills are soft skills, and I just want you to be focusing on your soft skills. And if I had listened to him, then I would never be where I am today. So I think that, it's really about getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that you're really uncomfortable with. And this might be like building confidence outside of the workplace, picking up a sport. I saw some statistic lately that some of the best women leaders in the world were all competitive sports. We're all into competitive sports. It could be, just going for a singing class or picking up an instrument, and just telling yourself that, oh, you can also do hard things. And I think that as a woman, if you walk into a room and everyone is looking at you thinking, who do you think you are? I think then that's exactly what you should be doing.
Amazing. I mean, you're all promoting women's sense of self-worth, and giving people women empowerment to determine that women can determine their own choices. So, I mean, this is amazing. And this is why I think Women Warriors Network, for me and for many others, is that we're given these opportunities to influence social change for themselves and for others. And it excites me, and it makes me proud, like I'm the big mama bear, being proud of all you women, of what you've achieved, what you are doing, what you are still doing, and what you continue to grow and develop. So fantastic. Thank you, Nina, so much. Again, we'll come back to you at the end, but brilliant. Thank you. Last but not least is Gina Alkuino. She's Chief Revenue Officer for the Quan Streaming Media. So pleased to have you on board, Gina. We've grown quite close, I'd say, since our meeting in April, and we've spoke a few times, and I hope we will continue to do so. But Gina, you empower individuals with the knowledge and tools needed to make informed decisions in the exciting world of digital currency. How can we unlock our financial potential?
Pleasure is all mine, lovely ladies, and also Sandy. Thank you for having me. So in the world today, there are about 9.2 billion. There's only 6.7 million crypto users, or actually 560 million crypto users. And there are about 37% of the women using crypto. The digital currency nowadays, all of us, your car, your wallets, digital wallets, everything will be in blockchain. If it is not soon, it's going to be very soon. There are so many potentials that women can do. However, the lack of education, well, digital currencies, this is, as what Rhea said, anything that belongs to finances and investment. It's a male-dominant kind of industries. But the reason why female is not visible in there simply because of the lack of education, the lack of transparency, and not so informed in the market. And this is why the streaming, the Kwan streaming, will be more up to giving those education, because in a world of crypto, education should be free. Women should be informed that whenever you sleep, you can still generate revenue. And we are not far from men, right, Lina? We're not far from men. We are also equipped to generate revenue as much as we could. However, the reason people, why they are kind of like distant to doing an investment, simply because they thought this kind of industry or the piece of space, the crypto space, the digital space is scary. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy a house, would you not consult someone, like what Rhea said? It's the same as investing in crypto. It's the same thing using crypto, because it's only a platform where everyone should learn how to invest. How to invest and see yourself doing well, as opposed to, yes, there are probability for you to get scammed. Yes, there are probability that you will miss something, so therefore you lose money. However, in a world today where a lot of details, a lot of information, every woman should actually know how to invest and use this platform to invest wisely, as what Rhea said. So yes, there are so many potential for women to grow in the market. It's just limited for now, simply because of, I would say, the awareness. Here at the Kwan, we're gonna be available worldwide next month. So we're gonna be out there. We will be boldly educating everybody to see what's gonna be and how it's gonna be to invest wisely.
Wow, thank you. I think, as you said, when you say crypto or anything, it's like, oh, scary word, what is that? And it's easier to walk away and not even find out, well, what's it about? Because I think, for like myself and many others, oh, I don't understand it, but it's the lack of education. So I guess there are so many possibilities and opportunities that exist within our financial resources, but it's just opening that Pandora's box, listening from women like you ladies who are speaking to educate us. Because I think men love men are supermen, so there's nothing, I'm not saying that, but to hear from a woman to a woman I think that information would be retained a little more, because you've got the understanding that we may not have that knowledge. And if a man or somebody is going, well, it's this, and and it's like, okay, scary. I have no idea, so I'm walking away and with no understanding. Whereas if we have people like you, Gina, to educate us, we can optimize and achieve our financial objectives by having that understanding, I guess.
Totally. People nowadays, they use social media to follow. To follow the influencer that someone in the street told them, hey, this part of black is actually cost you $10, but in the next 14 hours, you're going to be a millionaire. That is no. There's no way that you can achieve that result without you researching, spending time on it, toiled in it. It's exactly the same as an investment. There is no shortcut in there. You have to see what kind of investment you want to be involved, what sort of trading you want to invest. At the same time, know in your heart how much you can afford to lose in order for you to invest that. Simply because you cannot just invest while you have this pot of money for your day-to-day, and then you put that into investment simply because of the quick money of that kind of mentality. It's not a gamble. Gambling is completely different from investing. So women should see that benefits, that yes, it may take a while for you to reap what you saw and what you have invested, but this is how you safely invest your money. As what Rhea said, women will live another 100 years. So therefore, in a way, by 30 years, you have to be self-sufficient, isn't it? And how can you do that to compete in the market with your age? After 55 or 60, you are in a boomers area where you are getting like Sandy. But equally, you really have to see that in the next 15 years, you have to invest. By that, your investment will grow and can sustain you in the next 15 or 20 years or so.
Yes, please help me, everybody help me here. So is digital currency the future of our money?
In my personal opinion, it's whether or not it's going to be a 50-50 or 60-40, it's going to be an ongoing battle. But because the blockchain is evolving, all of us will going to be in blockchain anyway. Your records, the records of your jewelry, where did you buy your car, everything, your insurance and all that. I would say the when is a question, but yes, it's going to be in digital platform.
Ooh, the future. What is going on with our future? This is so interesting. Gina, thank you so much. Again, thank you, all of you ladies. I just want to say, is there anything between yourselves? I mean, I like the way you've all interacted because you are in these similar industries, so you have this understanding. And if there were any, if you could give one point, each of you, a simple point, what could we go away and do today? And then we'll come back and we'll reassess, reevaluate to see if we can make some kind of plan. Because I don't want this just to be a one-off event. I think this is such an important topic for all of us that we want to learn, not just go away and say, oh, that was good, I listened to this and that. I want to go away and say, okay, I should take some action in this way and do something. So Rhea, starting with you, what would be a main point us ladies could do?
Okay, for me, you probably no surprise from the theme of what I've been talking about is really about the education side, open to learning and to ask questions. do ask questions of your advisors, be them ones you have at the moment. If you decide that you're going to get an advisor, talk to them, ask questions. Don't be afraid of, you might think it's a silly question, but they're not silly questions. I was on a call with a client yesterday who's been a client for like 15 years, and she asked something which someone would think was really quite elementary question, but it's because she might have forgotten, or someone might have answered years ago and she didn't quite understand, so she decided to ask me. You know, it's we're there to answer questions, so don't be afraid to do that.
Thank you. I like that, because sometimes I don't want to feel embarrassed by asking something. I think, are you going to think I'm stupid because I'm asking a question which I do want an answer to from a real person?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And Nina.
So you said we have to give one word of action that we can come back to. Okay, so as a financial professional, I really shouldn't give financial advice, but I think this one is the best tip I can give to anyone. It's not related at all to the topic I was speaking about today. But if you do have a credit card, pay it in full every single month. Do not ever let it get carried over a month. That is the best advice I can give anyone. I started doing this when I was really young, and it's really helped me out to have a good credit score. And I just think that, you know, finances in general are very emotional, and we tend to think of money as something, you know, that we don't want to talk about. I think Rhea was mentioning this too. We don't want to talk about money with our friends, with our family, because we're a bit embarrassed about it. And we kind of think of money in a different way. So if money is spent on a credit card, we think of it as a different way, as if it was from our current account. So the best tip I can give anyone, if you have a credit card, set up an automatic debit from your account every single month, and don't ever think about accumulating interest.
Very good. That's something I need to make note of. Thanks, Nina. And Gina, what advice can you give?
So for the ladies, invest as if like you need it for the next 50 years, and spend that you are only have to live in 10 years.
Oh, so enjoy.
It's, yes, make it life simpler, that you have you spend your life wisely, and equally we also have to be sensible on how we live our life, because most of the 92% of the female are not really into planning and the financial investment. So therefore, when calamity or challenges comes in life, it's always like a failure, but it's not. It's just it's just a discipline for us, for everyone to grow and see ourselves that as a woman, we are actually the warrior in life. And whatever difficulty that we are facing, we can always start, retract, and move on. By moving on, please invest wisely, not only in finances, but also in your time and spending time with the family.
Thank you so much. Incredible advice all round from all three of you. I just want to say a big thank you to Rhea, Nina, and Gina. It's certainly opened my eyes, and I hope for many others they'll learn and they can reach out to you for more information with your, obviously with all of your permission. The recording will be sent out with the highlights, and then the full version also with everybody's details. A huge thank you once again to all of you, the people who attend and tune in, listen, even on the different channels, and when I send it out later. So if you haven't made it now, you will. It's definitely worth a listen to from these incredible ladies. Thank you. And again, thank you to Quilter Cheviot for sponsoring. It's our first sponsor for Women Warriors Network. So that's made me very excited. So for the ongoing support and sponsorship of our organisation's future events. And this event in particular with the global female investors, we will be doing this event in person actually in Dubai later in the year. So because again, I think it's something we need to follow up with, continue with. It's not just a one-off. There's so much to talk about and to learn about. So a huge thank you, everybody. And if there's anybody else there who wants to join Women Warriors Network or sponsor any of these events, please reach out, because I am doing this alone, but I'm building this incredible network of inspirational, motivational women. So thank you, warriors, and to the men who join and support also. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Good rest of your day.